This is a 13 Weather Impact Alert.
Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Baker.
And I'm Colton Woods. Tonight we are tracking an impactful winter storm that's covering all of West Michigan.
We're tracking everything from snow totals to road conditions. We're even answering your questions. If you're watching on Facebook right now, comment a question below. Later on, we'll answer those questions live during this show, but let's jump right into our weather coverage.
Snowfall is the big topic of the day, and this is what it looked like as the snow system started coming into West Michigan. As expected, though, the snow was not heavy earlier this afternoon, but just in time for the evening commute and also heading into the rest of the night, that snow has really started to pick up across West Michigan.
And this is what it looks like right now. Actually, a couple seconds ago, we just pulled this up. You can see conditions have just drastically changed. Looking at the Walker Tower cam, you can actually see that it's really hard to drive in that area. You can also see on our other tower cams, the snow and wind are kind of making it hard to actually see out there. And with this winter storm, there's a huge concern about road conditions. That's why we're tracking those conditions for you right now. This is a live look at northbound 131. Again, you can see that snow accumulating on the ground right now. In just a moment, we'll have a live report on those road conditions with 13 on your side, Josh Albertus. But let's toss things over to meteorologist Colton Woods, who's looking at our forecast right now.
Pretty significant snowstorm moving in across West Michigan. And because of that, we have issued a 13 weather impact alert, which runs through Sunday evening. But do keep in mind, along the lakeshore, we'll actually have lake effect snow develop heading into Sunday afternoon and evening. So that's why we extended that to Sunday evening. But most of West Michigan away from the lake will likely see the worst of the conditions and heading into Sunday morning. We are expecting quite a bit of snow. Widespread system snow is likely for everyone overnight tonight. Upwards of 6 to even isolated amounts of 12 inches of snow will be expected across West Michigan. Make sure you have the snow plows and also the shovels ready, because you will definitely be needing those heading into the next couple of days across much of West Michigan. Winter storm warnings are now in effect across West Michigan. You can see basically from Oceana, Newaygo, Mocassett counties down to the south, we have winter storm warnings in effect now all across West Michigan, and that will continue until 10 in the morning tomorrow. Do keep in mind, though, Mason and Lake County, so areas near US 10, are in a winter weather advisory, so they are not included in that winter storm warning because we're not expecting that much snow across West Michigan. Live look right now, though, in downtown Muskegon, currently sitting at 26 degrees with a wind chill of 16. Visibility, though, down to below a mile. So we are seeing heavy snowfall rates beginning to move in across West Michigan. Live look right now in Grand Rapids, sitting at 26 degrees. Visibility also below a mile here in Grand Rapids. And the wind sustained around 15 miles per hour is knocking our wind chill value down to only 14. Downtown Holland currently sitting at 26 degrees with a wind chill of 15. Still seeing that easterly, southeasterly wind currently sustained around 15 miles per hour, but occasional gust upwards of 25. Here's our snowstorm right now. You can see it's pretty impactful across much of the Great Lakes, honestly, including us here in West Michigan. You can see a pretty strong warm front with the low pressure center still in Iowa, so it will take its time as it moves to the east. It will likely move right over northern Illinois, right over Chicago, right over Kalamazoo and South Haven as it continues to move off to the east. So we still have several hours of snow to go. All the snow that you're seeing off to the west still has to pass through West Michigan. Taking a closer look here in West Michigan, you can see some heavier snowfall rates finally beginning to peel off to the north, including us here in southwest Michigan. The heaviest snow currently falling from Holland down toward Kalamazoo and South Haven. Still, though, moderate snowfall is currently falling along I-96. Zooming in a little bit closer, you can see moderate to even heavy snow is falling right now along I-94, along I-196, and just south of Holland, very heavy snow currently falling on I-196, so I'm sure travel is very treacherous just south of Holland. Heading to the north, though, you can see snow is a little bit less in intensity, but still, this will pick up over the next several hours, especially once this heavier snow band continues to move off to the northeast. Off toward US 10, we're not seeing much in the way of snow amounts right now. We're generally seeing flurries to light snow. That's why they're also in that winter weather advisory and not the winter storm warning. Visibility area-wide below a mile, especially along into the south of I-96. That's where we will likely see the heaviest snow once everything is all said and done. Temperature-wise, sitting at 26 degrees here in Grand Rapids, 28 in South Haven, and 27 in Fremont. So with temperatures below freezing, that means we will likely continue to have slick road conditions, and that snow will really stack up all across West Michigan. Feels like temperatures, though, below freezing, well below freezing, sitting at 14 here in Grand Rapids, 16 in Muskegon, and 16 also in Hart. The winds are beginning to strengthen somewhat. In general, though, I do not think we'll see gusts exceed 25 miles per hour, so that at least limits the blowing and drifting of the snow, thankfully, through the rest of the overnight. But at times, it will be blowing a little bit out there. Temperatures heading into Sunday will actually warm up, likely into the low to possibly even mid-30s. Overnight tonight, generally holding on to those snow showers all night long. At times it will be heavy, with temperatures warming likely into the lower 30s by tomorrow morning. Heading into the next 3 days, we have that winter weather impact alert in effect through the rest of the daytime hours on Sunday. All of West Michigan is in that until Sunday morning, but along the lakeshore, I do think we'll at least continue to see some impacts along the lakeshore thanks to that lake effect snow continuing into the evening hours. Heading into Monday, we're watching another potential lake effect snow event, especially in Ottawa and Muskegon counties, points to the north as a southwest wind lake effect will likely develop. And then heading into Tuesday, finally conditions will dry out, but we will stay cold, likely only in the upper 20s. So what's ahead? The main story by far will be overnight tonight. We are expecting very difficult travel conditions to develop across West Michigan, continuing through the early morning hours on our Sunday. I'm expecting quite a bit of churches to be closed across West Michigan. A widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow will be likely area-wide, with the heaviest amounts likely just to the southwest of Grand Rapids. And much of next week will be cold and snowy with highs below freezing. Back to you, Lauren.
Cole, and thank you. And like he just mentioned, this system is impacting all of our roadways. That's why this evening, 13 on your side's Josh Robertis is tracking those roadways for you. He joins us live. Josh, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Lauren, I was also tracking conditions Wednesday night during round one of our winter weather this week, and I can tell you, based on what we're seeing, they're two very different scenarios with their own unique cautions and dangers about them. Flip the camera around, you can see what we're seeing on the roads right now. Much quicker accumulation on the roads that we've seen than what we saw Wednesday evening during round one. You remember then it was a lot of, it was a lake effect system. You could get those very quick shifts between clearer, better conditions and more whiteout conditions. The wind was a very, very big factor in that as well. But the major concern this time, as we've been saying, isn't as much the wind on these roads. We're not really feeling that as much as this accumulation you can see, the amount of snow. Then these are similar conditions across the entire area, not as isolated as those more lake effect conditions earlier this week as bands moved in. You know, we're already seeing a lot of those deteriorating conditions, a lack of pre-existing tire trails, I'll mention as well in some areas, especially when we were heading on northbound 131 near M6. We really didn't have any trails there at that point as the snow was gathering. And this is really just the beginning, as we've been saying, as we expect this to continue and get worse throughout the evening. And this appears to be more of that heavier, wetter snow that can complicate travel even more in a lot of instances. It can be harder for cars to get a grip, especially if you're stopped somewhere like a stop sign or a red light or somewhere like that. It can be harder for those tires to get traction and get a grip on roads like we're seeing here. So some of what we were hearing from local leaders this week still applies. I mean, if you have to go out, make sure things like your wipers are good, your antifreeze is level, and your tank, your gas tank, has a good amount of fuel in it. And of course, one of the biggest things we were hearing, keep your distance, which we've been trying to do all night. We're going very slow and trying to keep that distance between us and the people in front of us to avoid any as much potential as possible for any sorts of accidents or crashes. Keeping that distance is very important, especially as road crews are probably expected to get out and continue working on these roadways. I would mention, as I did earlier this week, again, it's actually Michigan law now that you do have to keep at least a couple hundred feet between you and a snowplow when you are driving down the road. That is Michigan law now. But what happens exactly, I mean, if you do get stuck in conditions like what we're seeing out here, state officials actually recommend having an emergency kit with you in your cars. I printed out a list from from the state of Michigan to kind of get a sense of some of the things that you should be packing in your vehicles if you do have to go out, and in the case that you do get stuck and you don't know exactly how long it may be until you can rectify the situation. Things like flashlights with batteries, jumper cables, non-perishable foods, because you really don't know exactly how long it may last. A first aid kit, some simple tools like a wrench and a screwdriver, as well as, of course, the warm clothing, the change of clothes as well, because you really want to make sure that you're prepared for any of those colder conditions if you were to be there for an extended period, or if, of course, goodness forbid, you had to go outside to do any of those activities, or perhaps reach a nearby location. If you did, then this emergency kit is really made to prepare you for any of those situations that you may find yourself in if you do fall victim to the winter weather conditions that we are seeing. But we will be kind of going through more of that in this half hour and trying we're going to lay out for people kind of what all is in that kit and what you should anticipate to bring if you do have to be on these roads, if you do have to go out in these conditions like what we are seeing now. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you, Lauren, in the studio. For now, live in the Weather Chaser, Josh Albertus, 13 on your side.
Josh, thank you. And as you saw right there, the snow is already starting to accumulate. That's why road crews will be busy throughout this evening and into the night, working to keep the roadways as safe as possible. Steve Room with the Kent County Road Commission spoke with us earlier this week about the areas his crews will be focusing on during these storms.
For the most part, we're going to provide the service to these highways, our main arteries out there on a holiday weekend like this. I wouldn't expect any of this to really get us into your neighborhoods this kind of weekend. We'll treat where needed as the storm requires.
And we'll continue to update you on road conditions as the storm continues, both on air and online. We're also keeping an eye on those power outages tonight. This is a live look at the Consumers Energy map, hopefully coming up right now. The company says 200 crews are ready to restore power during the outages. You see the map right there. Things looking clear right now, but again, that could all change very quickly. They recommend charging all electronics and unplugging items like TVs, computers, and power strips. Consumers says to watch out for down power lines and keep generators outside.
If you are going to be using a generator, never set it up in an enclosed space or near any air intake to make sure that there is no harm to your friends and family. Another big thing that we really want people to be aware of is down power lines. If you see a down line, assume that it is live. Call 911 and then call us at Consumers at 1-800-477-5050 and make sure you stay at least 25 feet away.
And if you're driving and you see crews working on the roads, make sure to keep a safe distance and move over for those crews. And you'll want to stay weather aware this weekend, whether you're staying at home or traveling back from Thanksgiving. You can get the latest forecast anytime on the 13 on Your Side app. It's free to download on the App Store and Google Play. And also a reminder, we're always tracking closing of schools, churches, and government charities. Right now, our website has a couple of churches that have announced closings. If you can't find the closings, you can find the closings page right now on 13onyourside.com. And coming up in a little more than 2 minutes, Colton will be right back with a full look at the forecast.
Welcome back to West Michigan. I'm meteorologist Colton Woods. We're still tracking that snowstorm across West Michigan, already bringing significant impacts across the area, with travel likely going to be impacted through the remainder of the night. Your 13 weather ball heading into our Sunday is blinking bright. We still have snow showers in sight across the area. It's actually red. We do have warmer temperatures ahead. We were only in the upper 20s today. I do think, though, we will be climbing into the low to possibly even mid-30s heading into our Sunday afternoon. This view brought to you by LaFontaine Lincoln of Grand Rapids. Live look right now in downtown Muskegon. Pretty festive out there, especially with the snow currently falling. Visibility is knocked down to below a mile in Muskegon, wind chill of 26 degrees with an actual air temperature, though, of 26. Currently seeing a sustained wind out of the east at about 12 miles per hour. Temperatures area-wide mostly in the 20s, and visibility, because of the snow, being knocked down as well. Most of us, especially along into the south of I-96, are reporting visibility less than a mile, so that trend will continue on and off, likely overnight tonight and heading into our Sunday morning. Temperatures, as we say, high to a very snowy Grand Haven. You can barely see the pier out there thanks to not only it being dark out, but also the snow. Sitting at 26 in Muskegon, 26 in Grand Rapids, and 25 in Big Rapids. So with temperatures below freezing in the 20s, that means those slick conditions will persist all night long. Wind speeds, thankfully, we're not seeing much in the way of wind, which I do think will help any power outages. We probably won't see a whole lot of those overnight tonight, but do keep in mind at times the snow will be blowing and drifting, but in general, we will likely continue to see wind gusts less than 25 miles per hour. You can see that in our hour-by-hour forecast. Generally, the winds will be peaking around 25 miles per hour, with wind gusts around that, I should say, continuing overnight tonight. Heading into our Sunday, the winds will switch more out of the northwest, allowing lake effect snow to develop along the immediate lakeshore, especially to the southwest of Grand Rapids, where they will likely see the highest totals once this is all said and done. Temperature-wise, we'll stay in the mid to upper 20s overnight tonight and then climb briefly into the mid-30s heading into Sunday afternoon before yet again cold air settles in, and we'll likely wake up to temperatures Monday morning only in the teens. We have a 13 weather impact alert in effect between now and Sunday evening along the lakeshore, but for all of West Michigan through tomorrow morning because of the widespread snowstorm we're currently seeing. Amounts generally will be between 6 and 12 inches of snow, with the highest amounts likely being to the southwest of Grand Rapids. And what you need to know is at least have your plows ready and also shovels, because this will be a pretty plowable snow all across the area. Winter storm warnings are in effect from the National Weather Service for Oceana, Newaygo, Macassa counties down all the way to the state line. Winter weather advisories, though, for Mason, Lake, and Osceola counties, as they're expecting somewhat less snow across West Michigan. Those will expire tomorrow morning. Here's our snowstorm right now. It's pretty widespread. You can see it's far-reaching all the way from Ohio right now, extending all the way back to Minnesota. So this is a very large system, and with it, we still have several hours of snow to go. This is a low-pressure center, so that will ride this warm front right into West Michigan. So we still have several hours to go once this snowstorm really starts to ramp up heading into the overnight hours tonight, and it will likely end heading into our Sunday morning. Right now, you can see the moderate to even heavy snow is finally beginning to move into West Michigan, especially along into the south of I-96, with some pretty impressive snowfall rates across Allegan County, Ottawa County, and even heading into Muskegon County right now. Visibility likely well below a mile. So do keep in mind, if you're having to travel tonight along I-94 and also along I-196, you are currently seeing very heavy snow, even along US 31 in Ottawa County. Very heavy snowfall rates currently moving into Grand Haven and Muskegon right now. But as you travel to the north, thankfully we're seeing somewhat less in the way of snowfall rates. Hour by hour shows the snowfall will continue overnight tonight. Significant snow is expected by 8 p.m. for everybody, and that trend continues overnight. As the center of the low moves right over West Michigan, you can see it passing through South Haven, Grand Rapids, and as it does, that will bring in the heaviest snowfall totals likely along into the south of I-96 overnight tonight and heading into Sunday morning. This is why off to the north near US 10, they're expecting slightly less snow because they're further away from the low. Heading into Sunday, though, the winds switch more out of the north-northwest, which will allow lake effect snow to develop along the immediate lakeshore and especially areas down towards South Haven, where they could see some pretty significant snow heading into Sunday afternoon. Overall, hour by hour shows by 10 p.m. a widespread 2 to 3 inches of snow will be likely. Heading into Sunday morning, a widespread 6 to possibly even 8 inches of snow will be possible across West Michigan. And then heading into Sunday evening with that lake effect snow, we will likely continue to have that lake effect snow just to the southwest of GR. This is our snowfall map, the latest one. You can see a widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow will be likely, with the greatest amounts generally to the southwest of Grand Rapids and Allegan, Van Buren, and Kalamazoo counties, where they could see an isolated amount upwards of a foot of snow. Meanwhile, along I-96, generally seeing 8 to 10 inches and 6 to 8 inches up toward US 10. Travel impacts, I would not go on the roads if I were you between now and Sunday morning unless you absolutely have to. Travel will be very treacherous through the remainder of the night. Travel impacts thankfully will improve later on during the day on Sunday, but do keep in mind we have another lake effect event developing primarily in Ottawa, Muskegon counties to the north heading into the later portion of Monday and Tuesday morning, which will likely bring some more travel impacts across those regions. Overnight tonight, expect a moderate to heavy snow to continue across West Michigan. Lows will be well below freezing, allowing for slick and snow-covered roads all across the area. Temperatures here in Grand Rapids likely cooling down into the middle 20s overnight tonight. Your 13-area side 7-day forecast. Does show heading into Sunday, we have that 13 weather impact alert, which will continue for everybody through Sunday morning. Sunday evening, though, along the lakeshore, another lake effect snow event arrives late in the day on Monday, continuing into Monday night, primarily to the west and northwest of Grand Rapids. And then much of next week looking cold with highs below freezing and more snow stacking up later in the week.
And when major snow systems like this hit our area, it's important you stay prepared for anything. And part of that prep includes having your car ready to go with anything you need. 13 on your side's Josh Albertus is live with more on what you should keep inside your car, Josh.
Yeah, certainly possible to find yourself in an inadvertent situation on the roads with these deteriorating conditions. That has not happened. I want to make it clear that has not happened to us here at with the 13 Weather Chaser. But if you do, we wanted to kind of lay out what officials say should be in your emergency preparedness kit for any kinds of those situations. I actually printed off a list from the state of Michigan as to what the recommended items are that you should keep in your car for any of these kinds of winter weather situations in which you may find yourself stuck or otherwise not able to get out of that situation in your vehicle. One of the biggest things is jumper cables, to make sure that if you have someone or an official who is able to reach you and your car is not able to start, make sure that you are able to access that and get your car running with the help of others. But also some of the smaller things, the things that can apply to pretty much any situation. A flashlight with extra batteries is recommended as well. A first aid kit is recommended to keep in your car as well. We did that as well because you never really know what kind of situation you're going to find yourself in there. Food as well, particularly non-perishable foods, because you don't know how long you may be in that situation, just to make sure that you have that. I have some food there, but don't take any notes from me. That's a bagel. That's not non-perishable. That's just what I happen to have on my person at all times. As well as drinking water as well, to make sure that you are hydrated as long as you are in that situation. But on top of that, basic tools as well. We have a wrench, we have a plier, we have a screwdriver as well in our seat in this collection of items. A blanket, of course, not to put any less emphasis on warm items like a blanket or warm clothing. As you can see, sweatpants, heavy coat, hat, gloves, make sure that you have those, and a change of clothes they recommend as well, because again, you don't know how long that's going to last. So in any situation you find yourself in, an extra set of clothes, warm clothes, is a good thing to have as well. You want to have those blankets, you want to have a charged cell phone and a car charger to make sure that you can reach people. You have that effective communication for something like that, as well as things like a shovel, a scraper to kind of help yourself out in those situations, and a radio to be able to reach those emergency channels to figure out, what's going on, what you should be aware of in any given situation. So all of those things are things that the state of Michigan recommends you have in your emergency kit in your car in any of those kinds of situations, to make sure that if you do find yourself in one of those unfortunate situations, you are prepared and you are able to get through it. But we're going to continue to get out on the road and kind of track these conditions as this weather shapes up, and as we see more of the snow coming down. We're going to stay on the roads and we're going to keep you updated throughout the next half hour. But for now, live in Grand Rapids, Josh Albertus 13 on your side.
Josh, thank you. One of the things that you should be on the lookout for tonight is black ice. It can form on any roads, including curbs and drainage, especially after any melting. While it's more common at night, black ice can linger in the morning. Experts recommend not driving at night if you can, especially after rain or snow melts. And as we gear up for winter, you'll also want to make sure your car is ready, just like Josh said. Experts say you should have a professional check your battery, antifreeze, and oil. Also check your tire tread and get new tires if the tread is low. And like Josh just mentioned, you should also have an emergency kit in your car. And while it may not be a major concern with this system, make sure you're also watching out for frostbite and hypothermia. If you think you or someone you know may have both of these things, get to a warm area, remove any wet clothing, and warm up with dry layers of blankets or clothing. You should also call 911 immediately. And symptoms of frostbite include red, pale skin, feeling numb, muscle stiffness, and in severe cases, blistering. Symptoms of hypothermia include shivering, slurred speech, a weak pulse, and a loss of consciousness. And we know many of you may have questions about this weather system, about how it's going, when the snow is going to end, and how much we could get. Well, meteorologist Colton Woods will be answering those questions live from Facebook in just under 2 minutes. Stick around. Welcome back in as the snow system continues to move through West Michigan. I know many of you have a lot of questions. That's why we've been monitoring our Facebook page to see what people are kind of talking about. And Colton, I kind of want to start off with snow totals. Some people that have been commenting on our posts have said, oh, we're in Muskegon, we're getting hit hard. But some people in Grand Rapids saying, we're not seeing a lot. Where are we going to see this snow? Yeah,
For sure. We're seeing at least some snowfall, especially starting to stack up along the lakeshore right now. Muskegon was reported at 1.2 inches of snow at 5 p.m., which is about what we were expecting at this time. But if we take a look at the heaviest snowfall rates right now, you can see it's definitely over portions of Muskegon County, especially along the immediate lakeshore, down through Grand Haven right now, even along US 31, and just to the south of Grand Rapids in Allegan County. So that's why some viewers in Grand Rapids probably haven't seen a whole lot yet, because the heaviest snow hasn't reached you just quite yet. But it is coming down at a pretty rapidly pace, especially across Muskegon County, northern Ottawa County, and Allegan County. Right now, we're seeing snowfall rates in those areas probably an inch per hour. So obviously that will deteriorate conditions pretty quick across West Michigan, Lauren.
And for the people who are seeing snow right now, what kind of texture is it?
Yeah, this snow's kind of more normal, stereotypical normal snow, I would say, because with temperatures around freezing or slightly below freezing, it's not the snow that you can take like a leaf blower and just kind of blow it off. It's not dry, but it's also not the heart attack snow, I guess you could say. It's not super wet. That's typically more when temperatures are in the mid 30s. So we're seeing temperatures in the upper 20s. So I think it's more quote unquote normal snow. So not too bad or not too light, I should say. So kind of the Goldilocks zone, I should say.
Okay. And so, you know, a lot of times when we talk about snow here in West Michigan, We're always talking about lake effect snow,
Yes.
but it doesn't look like that this is actually lake effect snow. What's the difference?
Yeah, so lake effect snow originates from Lake Michigan, as in the name, usually when cold air moves over a warmer Lake Michigan. But if we take a look at radar right now, you can see most of this is system snow. If I zoom out across the Midwest, you can see this is associated with a low pressure system currently in Iowa. So this is why it is not lake effect snow, because places like Wisconsin are seeing it, Iowa are seeing it, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So this is a widespread storm system that is impacting the entirety of the Great Lakes and not just a few areas in West Michigan that we typically see with the lake effect snow. So not only is it easier to predict, but also the widespread impacts are generally more impressive because everybody is seeing the widespread heavy snow, not just a few local communities like we usually see with the lake effect.
Okay, well, we've got a lot to cover. So I know that there are some people still commenting on our Facebook right now. So if we didn't get to your question or comment, don't worry, we've got a whole nother half hour of coverage. It's not stopping right now. We're going to continue until 7:30. We're going to continue to track those conditions, what the road is looking like, and of course, the snow totals. So stick with us.
This is a 13 weather impact alert.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us again. I'm Lauren Baker.
And I am Colton Woods. Today we are tracking a massive winter storm that is covering all of West Michigan.
We're tracking everything from snow totals to road conditions, and we're answering your questions. If you're watching us on Facebook right now, comment a question below. Later on, we'll answer some of those questions during the show live, but for now, let's jump right into our weather coverage.
Snow is the big topic of the day, and this is what it looked like earlier in the afternoon as the system started to move into West Michigan. As expected, though, the snow impacts this afternoon earlier today were really low. We did not expect much in the way of snow accumulation through about 5 p.m. As expected, the snow is really starting to ramp up now, though, as we head into the current hour of 7 p.m.
And let's take a look right now what we're seeing outside. You can see a very different story. The visibility has gone down. The roads pretty much covered with snow besides the part of the cars that are driving in the same spot on the road. A very different story from before. And with this snow system, there's a huge concern about the road conditions. That's why we're tracking those conditions for you right now. This is a live look on northbound 131, where you can see the road is almost pretty much covered with snow. You can see drivers are driving a little bit slower than usual. We're going to be having a live report on this from our 13 on your sides, Josh Albertus. But first, I want to toss things back to meteorologist Colton Woods. Colton, what are you tracking for us?
Yeah, Lauren, thank you. Right now, we still have that 13 weather impact alert in effect beginning now, lasting until Sunday evening along the lakeshore. However, that will continue into the morning hours for everybody here in West Michigan, thanks to that widespread system snow. You can see the impacts generally will be in the way of widespread system snow, which will continue overnight tonight and heading into our Sunday morning, where widespread 6 to as much as 12 inches of snow will be likely. What you need to know is there will be significant travel impacts overnight tonight and heading into our Sunday, and this will be a plowable snow, so hopefully you have the snow plows out and the snow blowers and also the shovels you will definitely need it by tomorrow morning. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings for all of West Michigan, except for areas near US 10. Mason Lake, Osceola counties are in a winter weather advisory, which will expire tomorrow morning. But if you're in the pink areas, expect 6 to 12 inches of snow. Live look right now in downtown Muskegon, looking really festive out there, but we're still seeing significant snow starting to stack up along the lakeshore in Muskegon. Here in Grand Rapids, still seeing some moderate snowfall currently falling. Visibility is below a mile here in GR, and same story in Holland. You can see off in the distance behind those buildings, we're seeing some pretty heavy snowfall rates along the lakeshore. But taking a live look across West Michigan and much of the Midwest, we're dealing with this significant snowstorm across the area, even extending in portions of Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and even Ohio. So this is a far-reaching storm system which will impact travel for most of the Great Lakes heading into the rest of this weekend. That storm system that you're currently seeing in Iowa, where the center of the storm is, that will continue to move to the northeast, generally right over Chicagoland, over Kalamazoo, and also right over Detroit, meaning we will likely see the heaviest snow here in West Michigan as this continues to ramp up overnight tonight. Zooming in on West Michigan, you can see the heaviest snow is beginning to fill in across the area, especially along I-96 and points to the south. A little bit lighter snow, though, as you travel to the north. Still seeing a lot of heavy snow on the other side of Lake Michigan as well. So with due time, this will continue to fill on in overnight tonight. Zooming in on I-94, still holding on to some moderate to even heavy snowfall rates currently centered around Bend Harbor, extending down towards South Bend. Meanwhile, here in West Michigan, Holland's seeing some heavier snow, especially in portions of eastern Allegan County and western Berry County, and just to the south of Grand Rapids along US 131. But the heaviest snow currently is falling in Muskegon County, especially right over the center of downtown Muskegon. We're seeing snowfall rates likely around an inch per hour. As you travel to the north toward US 10, this is why they're in that winter weather advisory and not the winter storm warning, because they're expecting less snow up there, as we are currently seeing less in the way of snowfall rates. Visibility area-wide pretty low across much of West Michigan, especially in Muskegon, Holland, and Grand Rapids. We're seeing visibilities less than a mile, but like I mentioned, lighter snow is currently falling to the north near Big Rapids. They're seeing visibility of 5 miles. Temperature-wise, sitting at 26 here in Grand Rapids, 26 in Holland, and 27 in Fremont. So any snow that is falling is easily sticking to the roadways as we have temperatures below freezing, and that will continue through the remainder of the night. Once you factor in the winds, though, it's feeling more like the teens out there. 14 in Grand Rapids, 15 in Muskegon, and 16 degrees is what it feels like currently in Hart. So pretty cold out there, but thankfully the winds aren't too strong. Generally, we're seeing wind gusts around 20 miles per hour, and I think that will continue to be the case overnight tonight. So in the way of blowing and drifting snow, I really don't think we'll see a whole lot of that, thankfully, through the remainder of the night. Winds generally will gust upwards of 25, maybe an occasional 30-mile-per-hour wind gust. But heading into our Sunday, the winds will switch out of the northwest, staying on the breezy side, though, especially once we get to Sunday afternoon as winds start to strengthen just a little bit, upwards of 30 miles per hour. Temperatures heading into Sunday will actually be warmer than today, likely climbing into the low to even mid-30s across West Michigan. Snow will likely continue all night long here in Grand Rapids and much of West Michigan, with temperatures generally holding in the mid to upper 20s, at times, though, climbing to near 30 degrees. Over the next 3 days, this isn't the only system we're tracking. We will likely have another one moving in later on during the day on Monday, heading into Monday night. That will be lake effect snow, so unlike the system we're seeing right now being a storm system, the one we're going to see on Monday into Monday night will likely be lake effect snow, with the heaviest snow right now likely expected to fall to the west and northwest of Grand Rapids. The major travel conditions will continue into the overnight hours tonight. Very difficult travel, so make sure, unless you have to go on the roads, to avoid going outside. Overall, 6 to 12 inches of snow is expected area-wide, so like I said, travel will be very treacherous overnight tonight heading into our Sunday morning. I'm expecting quite a bit of church closures heading into Sunday, and much of next week staying cold and snowy, feeling like winter.
Colton, thank you. And like we've mentioned before, the system is impacting all of our roadways this evening. That's why 13 on your side, Josh Alberta is tracking the roads right now. He's joining us live. Josh, where are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, we're still on northbound 131, US 131, near the I-96 interchange north of Grand Rapids, kind of in the Comstock Park area. And I can tell you, I mean, we were down towards the southern end of Kent County, more towards Byron Center earlier. And I can tell you, just as we've kind of been anticipating and then reporting today, it does get worse the further south you go. We were hearing about those potentials for larger totals down near the Kalamazoo area. So as we went south, we could definitely see how conditions got much worse as you went to the south. But I want to flip the camera around and see what we're looking at right now. I mean, visibility has obviously decreased. These conditions have deteriorated as we've seen this situation that, compared to earlier this week in sort of round one of the winter weather of the week on Wednesday evening, this is a very different scenario for a few reasons that bring their own dangers and cautions. This has much quicker accumulation we've seen than what we saw Wednesday evening during round one as we were tracking those conditions from the roads as well. The major concern this time, as opposed to Wednesday evening, that was a lot of, the lake effect concerns, the very quick shift to near whiteout conditions, the very high winds. This time around, the major concern isn't as much the wind as it is that accumulation, the amount of snow that we're seeing. Similar conditions are kind of across the entire area, not as isolated as some of those more lake effect conditions on Wednesday as bands moved in. Now, we're already seeing a lot of those deteriorating conditions, a lack of pre-existing tire trails in some areas I might mention as well. That's something you want to keep an eye out for and be very vigilant of as well, especially near the M6 area earlier when we were heading northbound. We saw some of those lack of tire trails there as well. And we are expecting, of course, this is just the beginning, as we can expect it to continue to get worse this evening. Now, this appears to be, more of that heavier, wetter snow that can complicate travel even more. It can be harder for cars to get a grip. Sometimes, especially if you stop somewhere like a stop sign or a traffic light, it can be difficult for the car to get a grip there. So some of what we were hearing from local officials, local leaders rather, this week still applies. If you have to go out tonight, make sure things like your antifreeze has a good level to it, that your wipers are checked to make sure that they are in good condition, that your fuel tank has a good amount of gas in it. But of course, as well, one of the biggest things we were hearing, as we have been trying to do, you can see now we've been trying to do throughout these conditions, keep your distance, keep a good distance. It's safest to leave that space, to go slow, to avoid any potential, as much potential as possible, of those accidents or other dangers with cars that may be in front of you. I would mention again, as we have this week, as when you see those road crews out there, when you see the snow plows, it's actually Michigan law that you have to keep at least a couple hundred feet between you as you are driving and a snow plow in front of you. So that is in Michigan law now when it comes to that space requirement on the roads. But what happens, if you do get stuck? We talked a little bit about that earlier in this hour, and some of those things that you want to keep in that emergency kit. The state of Michigan online has access to what they recommend be in that emergency safety kit. You can go online from the state of Michigan and see what they recommend there. But we're going to keep out here and keep tracking these conditions as the night goes on. For now, live in the Weather Chaser, Josh Albertus 13 on your side.
And as you can see in Josh's live shot, the roads are already starting to accumulate some snow. That's why road crews will be busy throughout this evening and into the night, working to keep roadways safe as possible. Steve Room with the Kent County Road Commission spoke with us earlier this week about the areas his crews will be focusing on during these storms.
For the most part, we're going to provide the service to these highways, our main arteries out there on a holiday weekend like this. I wouldn't expect any of this to really get us into your neighborhoods this kind of weekend. We'll treat where needed as the storm requires.
And we will continue to update you on road conditions as the storm continues, both on air and online. And you'll want to stay weather aware this weekend, whether you're staying at home or traveling back from Thanksgiving. You can get the latest forecast anytime on the 13 on Your Side app. It's free to download on the Apple Store or Google Play. And also a reminder that we're also tracking school closures, churches, government or charity agencies. Right now on our website, we have a couple of churches that have announced closings. You can find the closings page on our website, 13onyourside.com. In just over 2 minutes, we'll have another look at the forecast with meteorologist Colton Woods. This storm is impacting the entire Midwest. For more than 50 million people are under winter storm warnings tonight, right now, including us. Jen Sullivan explains how it's impacting post-holiday travel.
Crews in St. Louis out treating the roads as a massive winter storm slams the Midwest. Cars blanketed in snow.
Still snowing pretty good up here.
This St. Louisan showing just how slushy and treacherous the roads are even after being treated.
Right now, we're fighting the storm.
City officials say more than 30 crews were out Saturday clearing the streets and highways.
This is a very unusually early snow.
St. Louis could see up to 4 inches of snow by Sunday. About 95 miles north in Springfield, Illinois, a snow emergency was declared.
Oh my God.
More than 20 million people across the northern tier are under winter storm warning Saturday. Chicago could see up to 10 inches of snow. As of 4 p.m. Eastern, more than 1,000 flights at Chicago O'Hare International Airport were canceled Saturday, according to FlightAware. It's one of the busiest airports in the world. All of this coming during the post-Thanksgiving travel rush. AAA estimating nearly 82 million people to travel the week of Thanksgiving through Monday, with Sunday being one of the busiest days for the skies and roads. Drivers in many areas are being warned not to travel.
If there's a crash on the interstate and it closes lanes, sometimes that lasts for an hour, if not multiple hours.
It's not just the snow causing dangerous conditions in some areas. As temperatures dip and winds pick up, the next big concern is ice. Officials in Des Moines, Iowa say they've already responded to several crashes.
The road conditions are going to get very bad here very quickly.
This monster system expected to shift east Sunday, dumping snow and rain and causing more headaches for travelers. Jen Sullivan, 13 on your side.
And that snowstorm is likely going to continue to impact us over the next several hours, heading into the overnight hours and even continuing into our Sunday morning. Your 13 weather ball, no surprise, is blinking bright. We have snow showers continuing in sight. At times, it will be heavy overnight tonight and continuing into our Sunday morning before it wraps up, at least inland, away from Lake Michigan tomorrow morning. This video brought to you by LaFontaine Lincoln of Grand Rapids. Live look right now in downtown Muskegon. Visibility only down to a mile as we're seeing moderate to heavy snow continuing across much of West Michigan. Wind chill value down to 14 right now, so it's pretty cold along the lakeshore, but the actual air temperature currently in the mid-20s, which is providing a lot of slick conditions across West Michigan. Visibility-wise, you can see really where the heaviest snow is currently situated, from Grand Rapids, Howland, down toward Kalamazoo, and up toward Muskegon. So much in the heart of West Michigan, we are currently seeing heavy snowfall rates across the area. Live look in Grand Haven, you can see some pretty heavy snow along the lakeshore as well. You can hardly see the pier out there, and temperatures generally in the 20s. 26 in Grand Rapids, 27 in Fremont, and 27 is the number in Kalamazoo. So like I mentioned, with temperatures below freezing overnight tonight, that will really allow the snow to stack up and cause dangerous travel conditions all across West Michigan. Thankfully though, if there's a silver lining in this forecast, the winds aren't that strong. Generally, we're seeing sustained winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Wind gusts though approaching 25 in some spots. So in a few areas, we will see some drifting and blowing snow, but in general, I do not think the blowing and drifting of the snow will be a huge deal overnight tonight. You can see why winds generally actually dying down overnight tonight as that low pressure center moves right overhead. Heading into Sunday though, the winds will pivot more out of the north and northwest, which will allow lake effect snow to hug the lake shore, especially southwest of Grand Rapids heading into Sunday afternoon. Temperature wise will likely climb into the low to mid 30s tomorrow before we quickly cool into the teens beginning Monday morning. 13 weather impact alert is in effect between now and Sunday morning for everybody, but it continues into the evening tomorrow along the lakeshore. We are expecting a widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow, with the highest amounts likely going to be to the southwest of Grand Rapids. What you need to know is plan for travel impacts and get the plows ready, because this is a plowable, if not shovelable snow all across West Michigan. The National Weather Service also has winter storm warnings out in effect between now and tomorrow morning, especially along into the south of US 10. This is where we're expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow. Less in the way of snow impacts toward US 10, but I still think you'll see several inches of snow up there. You can see here's our storm system right now. The center of the low currently in southern Iowa. That will track just over Chicago and Grand Rapids. So we still have several hours to go until this back portion of the storm system moves overhead. That will likely reach us tomorrow morning right around 8 or 9 in the morning. So we still have all of this snow to go through until we are completely done with it. You can see right now the heaviest snow really situated along I-96, so Muskegon, Howland, Grand Rapids, really the heart of West Michigan, currently seeing some pretty impressive totals stacking up. Zooming in on West Michigan, you can see the heaviest snow currently is falling to the north, but Kalamazoo still seeing some moderate snow. Heavy snow currently falling along I-196 in South Haven, even up to the north along US 31, seeing heavy snow in Holland and Grand Haven. Similar story in Grand Rapids, but the heaviest snow currently in West Michigan is falling right over Twin Lake and Wolf Lake in Muskegon County, even up toward Fremont in Newaygo. Hour by hour shows this snowstorm will not let up overnight tonight. It will continue all night long across West Michigan. Notice though how the winds aren't too strong overnight. Here's that center of the low moving right overhead of Grand Rapids, meaning we'll likely see the heaviest totals just along into the south of I-96. Heading into Sunday afternoon though, lake effect snow sets up along the immediate lakeshore, where we'll likely see a few more inches of snow, especially down towards South Haven. Meanwhile, here in Grand Rapids along US 131, the snow will likely come to an end by the time we get to the middle morning hours tomorrow. Additional snow between now and 10 p.m. We're looking at a widespread 2 inches of snow. Heading into Sunday morning at 6 a.m., widespread 5 to 6 inches of snow, and those totals continue to stack up into the afternoon hours tomorrow, especially along the immediate lakeshore, thanks to that lake effect snow. Here's our snowfall forecast. This includes what has already fallen. Do keep in mind, heaviest snow will be southwest of Grand Rapids, where we could see 10 to 12 inches of snow between now and tomorrow evening. Travel impacts will be pretty high heading into the remainder of the night and into Sunday morning. Less in the way of impacts late in the day and early on Monday morning. Overnight tonight, expect temperatures generally cooling down into the 20s along the lakeshore, at least staying in the 20s. Low 20s off to the north with snow continuing, and Grand Rapids to the south in the mid-20s. Your 13-hour side 7-day forecast shows that 13 weather impact alert is in effect continuing into Sunday. And then another system moves in on Monday in the form of lake effect snow, primarily to the west and northwest of Grand Rapids. Back to you, Lauren.
And like Colton just said, we're expecting a widespread amount of 6 to 12 inches from this snow system, and that snow is quickly accumulating. 13 on your side, Josh Albertus is live in Kent County with a look at how much snow he's seeing right now. Josh, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Lauren, we're now in the northern portion of Kent County in the Belmont area, and I can tell you it is definitely, as you can see, it's definitely coming down here. In this given parking lot, we're just about an inch of snow, but as you can see, I mean, you can see very slight remnants of tire tracks from earlier today. This is quite a fast accumulation, given that this has been happening just throughout today, that we can barely see those tire tracks anymore. We're about an inch here, and I mean, what we can tell you when we are hearing, what we are seeing in Belmont is that, especially when you get out into these, more so outside the city areas, you can no longer really see the roads that we were traveling on. We could see kind of tire track remnants there, but we couldn't really see the roads themselves. And as we've been talking about, if we turn around here, we found in this parking lot, there's actually one of these wind meters that's kind of gauging the wind right now. And as you can see, it's not going very fast. What we have been saying is that, really the major concern here, the kind of unique dangers and challenges about this round of winter weather as opposed to the one earlier this week, is that it's not so much the wind as we saw earlier this week, where it was very high winds coming in from the lake with those lake effect conditions and those very quick whiteout conditions that could spur from those lake effect conditions. Now it's more so what we are expecting to be just the heavy accumulation here, the very quick accumulation, which we have very much seen. Especially, we can definitely see it here, obviously, but as we went further south, when we were sort of in the Byron Center area towards the M6, it was you could see the conditions start to slip very much, and you could tell just that what we were expecting to happen, that we were expecting that higher intensity to be more towards the south, more towards the Kalamazoo area. You could definitely see it just in Kent County, that is definitely happening here. So we have been reiterating, if you can, stay inside, do not be on the roads if you do not have to be on the roads, but we are going to continue tracking these conditions as these conditions very much seem to be still deteriorating as the night goes on tonight. For now, live in Belmont, Josh Albertus, 13 on your side.
Josh, thank you. As you can see, the system is far from over. After the break, we'll have a final look at the forecast. And Colton, I've been tracking our Facebook. A lot of people have been just talking about what they're seeing in terms of one person just saying that it's very slippery and icy in Northeast Grand Rapids. Other people talking about what they're seeing in Muskegon. As far as what we've been talking about this whole week, has our forecast been pretty on par for what we were expecting?
Yeah, I think so far. In general, so far, we're seeing about 1 to 2 inches of snow. Some areas seeing 3 inches. So I do think that's what we were about expecting as of this point. And the snow's not done. We will continue to see some heavy snow overnight tonight. Taking a look at the radar, you can see basically the snow you're seeing in Iowa, where that low pressure center is. We still have between that snow that we're seeing over Grand Rapids through all the snow in Wisconsin, Illinois, into Iowa. So we still have several hours to go before the snow actually starts to come to an end across the area. Right now, we're seeing some moderate to even heavy snow at times falling across West Michigan. The heaviest right now really centered over Newaygo County, southern Newaygo County, into Muskegon. Still seeing some moderate to heavy snowfall rates in Kalamazoo County, even Van Buren County, South Haven, currently seeing some heavy snow. Up to the north, still heavy snow currently falling in southern Kent County,